In this tutorial, we show you how to make this snowman with proper snow texture, how to make these branches, which is cartoon-like, how to make this pipe, which is a lot more detailed than this low image texture shows. And yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoy this long walkthrough. It's loads of fun. Here's the actual image, and you can see a lot more detail and everything when I zoom in. Let's get to it. Alright, step number 1, select your default cube, go to your modify properties, add modifier, and we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier. Let's crank this up to 6 on the render view and viewport and leave it on Catmull Clark, and then click over here and apply. And if you look at this closely, it's not round. So the way we make this round is we press tab and go to edit mode. This will only work if you've applied that modifier. You press Shift Alt S and you move the mouse away until on the top right hand corner where you see sphere, it shows 1.00000, which it does now. Now if we press tab, go into object mode, it's a perfect sphere. But more importantly, if we press tab, go into edit mode, it's a quad sphere. And that is always better when it comes to modeling. Right, I just shaded that smooth, and now we can add our modifiers. The first modifier is the array modifier, and I'm going to turn off relative offset. I'm going to press Shift A, empty, and I'm going to use the plane axis, and I'm going to rename this empty to snowballs primary. Use whatever naming convention you like. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to click object offset, and I'm going to click on snowballs primary and just increase the number to 3. Then I'm going to select my snowballs primary. I'm going to press G to grab it, Z to lock to the Z axis, lift this up to about there, and then I'm going to press S to scale this in. Press numpad 1 to be in front orthographic view, and I press G, Z, and just lift this up to a height that I think works. Something like that should be fine. Right, the next thing we want to do is select your cube, which we're going to rename snowman. Select your snowman, and we're going to minimize the array, and we're going to add a remesh modifier, which is, here it is, there we go. Keep it on voxel. Currently it all looks pixelated, and what it's done, it's kind of tried to join these meshes together to make it look a little bit good. It doesn't look perfect yet, but if we click auto smooth, it looks a little bit better. Also, if we increase the strength to maybe 0.2, turn this off, see it looks a lot better. If you can live with that, that's going to be our base. And once again, it's non-destructive. Now we have to move on to the next one, which is the smooth. And you can play around with the factor here. So if we reduce it, whoops, I pressed the wrong thing. So if you make this 0, you get that. If you make this 100, you get that. So let's try 3.5. Okay, well, I guess that's going to have to work for now. We'll probably come back to this one. We're going to add another modifier. This time we're going to add a displacement modifier. We're going to click new. We're going to name this texture clouds large, and then go to your texture settings over here and change this to clouds. Then go back to your modify properties, and we just have to change the strength. And let's just mess with the strength, perhaps make this 0.1 and give this 2 repeats. It'll look a little bit better. And I'm quite happy with that, but I'm also not. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go back to this clouds large and change the Blender original to improve Perlin, and change the size to 0.35. And we could mess with the custom colors here. but we'll leave things for now as is. Anyway, so go back to your modifier properties, and we're going to add another modifier, and we're going to make use of another displacement modifier, and we're going to click new, and we're going to select this one here, clouds large 001, and let's change the strength to 0.1 as well. And now we just need to go back to our texture settings and make sure it's on improved purlin, but we have to change this to the one we're using in the other one over here. Change this to improved purlin, perhaps make this 0.35. Just looking at this a little bit closer, what happens if we make this 0.1? You can kind of decide for yourself what you feel looks good. 0.25. I'll just leave it on 0.35. Alright, before we add textures, let's turn on X-ray mode so we can see how this looks, and select our small balls primary, press G, snowball primary, press G, Z, and lift this up. And just see how it looks if we lifted it up compared to bringing it down. From the looks of things, we'll just leave that as is and turn this off, lift this up, switch to our material viewport. It's not the render view, it's just the material view, and we're going to try and make this look right in the material section. So now we go to our shader editor. We're going to select our snowball, and we're going to play around with this. The first thing we want to do here is press Shift A, in the search bar type in map, and we're going to use map range, and we'll play with these settings in a second, but we also want to quickly add, in the search bar type in noise, and we also want to add Shift A, in the search bar type in BUMP, bump. Now we just need to connect this to get the desired result. Right, so let's connect the map range to the roughness and the factor into the value. May take a little while to load, and we will do the same to the bottom here. We'll connect the factor in. Whoops, this needs to go in height. There you go. And we're just going to change some primary settings in this noise texture here. It has to be on 3D. The scale, we're probably looking closer to something that's 150. Let's zoom in to really take a look. And that should be fine. Now let's mess with the map range. Let's keep the min 0, max 1, min 0, and maybe the max over here to 0.8. And we need to connect this bump into our scene. We need to connect this normal into this normal. And your PC might take a little while to load like it does with mine, just to connect everything. Now we can see the snow effect, which looks really cool, but it's just too much. So let's just bring this down to about 0.15. And just like that, we have this beautiful, somewhat realistic snow effect. Obviously, there's a few more things we can do to it. For example, we know that snow is probably going to have some sort of subsurface, maybe it was 0.2. Let's see how it looks. Take a little while to load, especially if you've got a potato PC, and that looks a little bit more realistic now. Even better. Alright, I think we're done with that. We're done with the snow part. I guess the next part would be to make the coal face. Next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to go back to solid view mode for the time being. Let's bring this down. Press numpad 1 to be in front orthographic view. Press Shift A, and we're going to use a default cube. And that looks pretty good to me. Now, we might want to scale this down in a sec, but before we do, let's go to our modifiers. Add modifier. The first thing we want to do is add a subdivision surface modifier. And just for the time being, we're going to take our snowman and press H to hide. So we can only focus on this specific piece. Let's increase the subdivision of this cube, which we're going to rename coal, to 5 and 5. Right click, shade smooth, add a displacement modifier, new. Let's call this first one large coal. Let's call this texture large coal. Or I'm just going to name this coal texture. And now we just have to adjust the strength. 1 sec, large. Adjust the strength to 0.03. Go to our texture coordinates over here. And let's choose Voronoi, or whatever it's called. Intensity, let's increase it to about 1.3. So it's got these bumps. Let's try this 0.15, and we go back to our modifier properties and we add a new modifier, another displacement modifier. Click on new, rename this coal small coal. Change the strength to 0.02 and go to your texture modifiers, and we can kind of leave everything as is. Right click, shade smooth. Perhaps we want to change with this a bit. Try 0.1, 0.12, 0.13. It doesn't matter. Choose whatever amount you feel would look good. I'm going to go back to my modifier properties quickly, and I'm going to play around with the strength quickly. What happens if I make this 0.1, 0.2, 0.01, 0.3. Just leave it like that for now. Sorry, 0.03. I'll leave it like that for now. And obviously if we press G and remove this, well, not yet actually. I have to quickly add the other thing. I'm going to play with the large coal a little bit more. And just to confirm I have two, I've got a small and large. Okay, let's mess with the large one a little bit more, yeah? 0.3. Position. And we can mess with the shape a bit. Perhaps I've made it too intense. Let's stick to 0.3 for this and try and find a way to make 0.3 work for the large. And just mess with these over here until we find a shape that is a little bit more appropriate for what we are trying to do. That's close. 0, 0.5, let's do 0.8. Okay, cool, that's good enough for me. And obviously you still got the other qual small, which looks crazy. Oh, hold on. I just changed the col for the large col. I need to change it back. And go back, yeah. Make sure you displacement small col. So if I go yeah and make sure I've got displacement small col selected, I can now mess with this intensity just to play with the shape a little bit more. So we definitely want this low, 0.1 or 0.05. And the only thing that would improve this would be more subdivisions, so you can really make it pop. Okay, let's go back here and let's make this 0.03. Okay, cool. I'm quite happy with this result. Let's move on. All right, you can decide how you want yours to look. I'm leaving mine like that for now until I see how it looks with materials, which I'm about to add. All right, let's go to our material viewport so we can see how it looks. First thing I want to do is just change the specular for coal because it's going to look different, maybe 0.2. Change the color to a more coal-like fitting color. And there's a lot of other things I want to quickly do. Let's add a bump, BUMP. And perhaps reduce the strength. Let's try 0.1, 0.15. Takes a little while to load, and while that's loading, I'm going to press Shift A and I'm going to add a mix. Let's do a mix RGB. Connect this to the height. And let's press Shift A. Type in noise and select the noise texture. Control C, Control V, you can duplicate this, or just hold on. Oh, I think I just duplicated unnecessarily a few times. Okay, there we go, I got 2. And I'm going to connect this into the 1. This, we'll give it a second to load. You can see it loads down here. And let's connect this one into the other one. Let's change this factor first. Let's give this a scale of 3. Let's give it more details, details of 10. And leave the rest. Then at the bottom here, there's 2 things I want to do. Let's increase the scale to 55. Increase the details to 6. You can already see the difference. It's looking good, but we could probably do even better. Shift A search, type in map, and select map range and connect that into here. Give your PC a second to load. And let's change the min to 0.45. Let's make the max 0.85. And 0 and 1 should be fine. And that's looking really good. I'm very happy with this result. To me, this looks like a somewhat realistic stone-like coal. It's completely over the top, but cool. Let's move on to the next section. Next section I've actually done before in one of my first tutorials on how to make, or one of my earlier tutorials on how to make a carrot. I think I did it on this channel. Right, let's quickly press H to hide this. So help speed up our PC a little bit. And I'm just going to minimize this for a second. My PC is struggling. I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, Cube, Tab, Edit Mode, right click, Merge Vertices at Center. Numpad 1 to be in front orthographic view. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, X to lock to the X-axis, and I'm going to take it out to about here. Once I've done that, I'm going to press Tab, go into Object Mode, Modifiers, Add Modifier. We're going to add a Skin Modifier. We're going to make this smooth. I'm going to add another modifier known as a Subdivision Surface Modifier. And let's crank this up to about 5, which is completely excessive once again. But then we're going to press Tab, go into Edit Mode. Hold on. Before we even do that, let's minimize this. You can go into Edit Mode and select both edges. I believe it's Control A. You can just make it smaller, thinner. So you might say, okay, the one edge has to be that, and then Control A, the other edge has to be like that. So it's got a more of a carrot-like shape. Then we're going to add a Displacement Modifier once again. I think this seems to be the theme of this tutorial. Let's call this Carrot. And I'm going to call this Displacement Large Carrot actually. Give it a strength of 0.01. And I'm going to add another modifier, Displacement. I'm going to call this Small Carrot. Small carrot. Right, now let's select our large carrot, go to over here, click over here and choose large carrot. And now we have to select Voronoi, change actual distance to Morosky, give it an intensity of 0.3 and change the size to 0.2. We're looking at this picture here to decide 0.21, 0.22. Make sure you're in object mode to actually see the differences. Go to your modifier properties and let's just remove the small carrot for a second so we can see what we're doing. Alright, so let's go back here. And you can kind of just choose the position that you think looks more carroty. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Right, now that we're done with that, we can go to our modifiers, add modifier, another displacement modifier. This one's going to be called small carrot, new. First thing we want to do is change the strength to 0.005 and go to our texture coordinates. Voronoi, Morosky is fine. The intensity, I guess, is fine, but let's change the size to maybe 0.1. And let's just go down from here to see what we prefer. It looks like a frozen bad carrot there. It looks pretty good at 0.9, 0.10. I'll leave it on 0.10. I'm quite happy with that. Yep, this definitely looks like a decent looking carrot. We probably want to add a texture to this carrot now. So we're going to press new. And just for a quick fix that we'll alter in a second, let's just make this an orange. And obviously this doesn't look like a believable carrot if you just make it orange. So we have to do a few things here, add a few nodes. Alright, so let's press Shift A again. On the search bar, type in BUMP. Connect your normal to the normal, like that. And give this a strength of 0.05. And over here, we want to press Shift A, search, type in mix. Let's do mix RGB for 2 colors and connect this to the base. And we're going to have to connect 2 colors now. So we just press Shift A, search RGB. Select this, Control CV. Bring this down, connect this. Whoops. Alright, so you probably want to select, let's lift this all the way up here and make this one super orange. And then this one over here, perhaps a slightly darker orange, so that it's got a more of a realistic texture. Also, I want to make this have some colorants in it. You don't want too much because it'll look fake. Something like that looks good enough, but we're not done. We have to decide how this splits up in terms of its factor. And if we made it all the way 1, it would look like that. All the way the other, it would look like that, which is no good. So let's use a Shift A, textures, Voronoi, texture. But let's actually use a map range to assist it. And we'll connect the result into the map range over there. And then we'll connect the Voronoi, the distance into the value. And there's a few things we can play around here with. First off, let's make the min 0.2, make the max 3, and leave that on 0, then go over here and make this Minkowski, I can't pronounce it. There we go, it's got those lines now. That's why we're using Minkowski, as you can see. It's looking pretty good. And now let's adjust the scale. Let's make the scale 0.4. And if you click on this, Control Alt click, so hold on, Controls, whoops. Assuming you got node wrangler on, if you click on this, Control Alt and click, you get that. But if you click on this, I believe Control Alt T, I can't believe I forgot. Oh my goodness. It's just Control T. So you select this, Control T, and then you get your mapping and your texture coordinates. And we could possibly use an empty here, but for the sake of time, we won't. But we will change the scale over here to 0, 40. Let's try 0.1. Don't like that. Let's up this to 0.3, 0.4. Let's leave it on that for now and just quickly adjust some of the core settings here for this carrot. But first, let's make sure that this is also connected into this. I guess the only thing really, if you want, maybe mess with the subsurface a bit. Let's try 0.2. Just see how it looks first. I don't like that. Let's leave it on 0.2. No, and then change the subsurface color to something a little bit warmer. Something like that. And there we go. We have designed our beautiful carrot. All right, so now that we've got the core parts of the face done, maybe I should end the tutorial here because we've got enough for the whole body, but screw it. Let's select this, press H and hide it. And let's bring this down. And let's go crazy. Let's press Shift A. And I guess we could use... Press Shift A, mesh, and we'll use a circle. Add modifier, we're going to use the Solidify Modifier. And we can mess with some of these settings here. And perhaps just change the thickness to 0.02. Let's zoom in to look at that thickness. Yep, we can see it there. So if we move this over here, we could decide how thick we want this to be. For now, let's leave this on 0.02 or 0.2. 0.2 is probably a little bit better. Let's add another modifier. Let's use our bevel modifier. Minimize the solidify one. Let's make this edge offset 0.1. Let's increase the segments to 2. And let's try weight. And everything looks fine. All right, let's add a subdivision surface modifier. That smooths it out quite nicely. Perhaps just increase this to 2. Press tab, go into edit mode, and obviously if you press F, you could fill this. Shouldn't be a problem. Control Z if you don't want to. And now let me show you how to build that. You just press F to fill. And by the way, this is probably the long way around. You could have somewhat designed this before. So you filled this gap here, which is great. Or you could press Control Z to not fill this and just press E to extrude, S to pull it in. Put it into about there. Then press E to extrude and then Z and lift this up. Something like that should do. And you could press F to fill. And then all you need to do, if you don't like the look of this shape, which I don't blame you, press tab, go into object mode quickly, right click, shade smooth, tab, go back into edit mode, press Control R to create a loop cut and just bring this all the way up like to the top. Press Control R again, bring this all the way down to the bottom. You can have it like that, or you can have it more stylized like that. And yeah, I'm quite happy with this unique style. It's not every day you see a hat like this. Press tab, go into object mode, right click, shade smooth. It's good enough for this example. Tab, edit mode, Control R. Perhaps we want to actually press Control R around here and just bring this out. To about there. Let's do the same at the top here, Control R. Sorry, at the top you have to press 3 to choose faces. At the moment you can't, so perhaps we want to press Control R. Let's lift this up as well until we get the shape that we like. Yeah, I like this interesting style hat. Tab, object mode, and we're good. And now we just have to add a material to this quickly. Let's lift this up. It's a funky hat. Let's add a wave texture to this. So we're going to press Shift A, search, type in bump. Drop off the bump. Once again, we connect the bump into the normal. And we press Shift A, and we go to textures, and we're going to use a wave texture in this example. You can press Control T to get these settings here, so we can adjust this. We can leave this as is, it's just a mapping here, so we change the angle. Perhaps what happens if we make this 90 degrees? We kind of just have to play with this quickly till we get the desired angle. That's the desired angle. Let's leave this on 0 quickly, and let's just change this to Z. And let's try saw. Perhaps we want this to be on sin. Okay, and then we just change the strength here to 0.15. Give it a second to load, and then change this to 0.1, so it's faded. It doesn't stand out too dramatically. All right, now all we need to do is change the color. We could select a different color here, make it black, for example. Let's reduce the shininess by making it 0.75 roughness, 0.8, and the subsurf color, let's give it a warm, no, a hint of blue would be more interesting, I guess. Screw this, I'll just leave this on white and give it a subsurface of 0.05. Sorry, okay, that's fine. 0.05 is fine. Just change this back to 123 123 and just making this a little bit darker. Okay, cool, I'm quite happy with that. Looks pretty good. If we zoom in here and we want to get rid of those, that's very easy to do if we applied everything. We just go to tab edit mode. We'd select the top face and we'd press I, which apparently we can still somewhat do. That's interesting, I didn't know. Okay, I'm not going to mess with that too much. I'm using too many things stacked on top of each other. One thing I personally don't like, even with these modifiers, just stylized choice here. Let's go to the bevel tool. What happens if we make this 5? $100. Oh, you have to be in object mode, obviously. Let's make this 1. 0.01. 0.5. Let me just undo that. There we go, I'm back to square one. Okay, cool, let's just hide this hat. So now we've got a hat, tab object mode. Select it and press H to hide it. So we've got a hat, we've got eyes, we've got a nose, we've got the body. Let's actually bring all the pieces back and put them on top of each other. So we've got this carrot. Let's start off with this coal and this primary snowman. Right, so the first thing we want to do with this coal is scale it down. Press S to bring it in. Do something like that should be good. Press G, Z, lift it all the way up to about here. Press numpad 3 to be in right orthographic. Y. Grab it and move to Y. G, numpad 1. And I'm just going to just move this into place. And you can press Shift D to duplicate. You'll notice that the shape is somewhat changing as we move it. Well, it should be, and if it isn't, which it doesn't look like it is, press R to rotate this, and then press rotate it on the x-axis. I don't know, just to make it look a little bit different. Pad 1. Shift D. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Shift D. About there. Numpad 3. G. Numpad 1. Rotate on the Z axis. Shift D. Chuck this here, numpad 3. Apparently it's still in, so that's okay. And we just rotate this now. Shift D. Rotate this on the y-axis. Rotate it on the x-axis. Just so it looks a little bit different. This I want to rotate more, rotate on the x. Rotate on the z. There we go. That's looking pretty scary. All right, the next thing we want to do is find that caret. Should have named these things a lot better. And I should probably clean this up now. Could be the example, I guess. I'm just going to put the collection of coal in its own collection within the main collection. Select the coal, hold in shift, select all the other coals, and chuck it in. Minimize. Next thing we want to do is, what is this circle? It's the hat, okay? And this cube is the caret. So let's rename the cube. Caret. Press G, Z, lift it up to the right spot. Numpad 7 to be in top orthographic view. R. Minus 90. GY. Chuck it to about, yeah. Now you'll notice that the center of our thing is at the back here, which is perfect. So when we scale this down to make it more reasonable size looking, we can. Also, if you want to add a king to your caret, you can press tab, go into edit mode, select a vert, change to your vertex, select a vert over here. Perhaps we're happy with this length of this caret, so all we'll do is, let's go to wireframe mode, select all the verts, right click, subdivide, select this end vert by itself, while my PC is struggling to do this. I'm using a laptop, so if you're using a laptop, don't worry, you're not alone. G, X, and it's just tilted slightly, so it's not the perfect caret. G, Z. Let's take a look at this. G, Z. Tab object mode to see how it actually looks. All right, it looks like it's dying. That's how it looks. So we're gonna have to try and fix that. It looks like a wood texture at the moment. So we're gonna have to go fix this. Ooh, this is actually not even the textures at the moment. The problem is, don't tell me it's the colors. Oh, goodness, come on. Last thing I want is glitches now. Let me just save what I've got and I will restart Blender quickly. All right, so instead of me wasting more time on fixing, if you want to change the shape of your caret nose, perhaps use a better PC than mine, because mine is running too slow. I just went back to before I made the nose at an angle, which you can do. I've actually done it before. I can actually show it to you. like, see, I've actually made the carrot nose in a different angle before, no problemo. So I'm just letting you know it can be done, but my computer is just so garbage. All right, now let's go to the circle here, and let's rename the circle hat, so we know what we're talking about. Press numpad 1 for front orthographic view. Press G, Z, and lift this hat up. It's humongous. And somewhere over there should be good. Zoom out. Press S to scale this puppy down. And you can rotate this perhaps at an angle. This is probably a somewhat more realistic snow guy to build than my original example that looks a lot better, but I'd like to see a kid build that. All right. Next thing we want to do is select this curve here, numpad 1, Shift D, and we're going to give him buttons about over there. Numpad 3, G, Y, Shift D, Shift D, numpad 1, and now we just have to just change the shapes around. Let's zoom in, and we want to rotate this on the Z axis, rotate this on the X axis, rotate it on the Y axis. You're just kind of just rotating things around so that they don't look like the same piece. So you're able to reuse the same piece without it feeling like it's the same piece over and over again. All right, so the only thing missing from our snowman is perhaps a British pipe, which we've done a tutorial on in the past, as well as a scarf. All right, let's hide everything we have in this collection, and let's quickly press Shift A, and we're going to make a pipe. It's been a while since I've made a pipe. Perhaps we need a reference image. All right, so I quickly Googled British pipe. I found this one over here, and I'm just going to use the first image I see. You can do the same. Save image, save it to my desktop. And then I'm just going to, once it's downloaded, I'm going to take this and drop it into my Blender. Because I was in front orthographic view, that did help a lot. I'm going to press GY -10. Went the wrong way. Numpad 1. GY20. So move it back from the centermost point. Right, let's quickly mess with these settings here to decide what is selectable and renderable. Right, so the first thing I want to do is go to the object data properties of this image, make it transparent at 0.5, and make it to the back, and then just, perhaps I can even just scale this down a bit, it's a little bit big, and then press G, Z, just lift this up above the red line. G, X, and once I've done with that, I can just do this. Now the background is no longer selectable. All right, so we want to quickly design this. Well, I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh. I'm going to use a cube, right click, merge, oh, hold on, tab, edit mode, vertex select, right click, merge vertices at center. And now we're going to press G. And I'm just going to kind of just press E the whole time. Been a while since I've made this. I actually have a tutorial showing you how to do this. I'm probably doing it wrong. I'm working off memory from a fairly long time ago. So we'll see how good my memory stacks up. Press tab, go into object mode. So we've created the basic outline of the pipe. Now we can go to modify properties, add modifier, and we're going to use a I don't think it's Solidify Modifier. That's not the one. It's skin. skin modifier. That's it, yeah. And then we add a subdivision surface modifier. Let's crank this up. Also make sure this is turned on smooth. And 2 should be enough for this example. Press tab, go into edit mode. Okay, so the reason why this is sharp, well, you can select this edge here and you can actually rotate it, or you should be able to. Let me first just delete that. Merge, dissolve vertice. So you go select those two and you say subdivide. You select this, you press GG. Just lift this up like that. Makes it a little bit sharper. Let's try that over here, subdivide. GG, and let's move it across to about there. Numpad 1. Obviously the first thing we want to do is select all these vertices here, press Ctrl A, just scale them down to more reasonable sizes. I forgot how to rotate in this when I'm in this form, but I'll figure that out just now. As long as I can move, it's not the end of the world. Control A, Control A, G, Control A. Hold on, select this, Control A, and just bring this in. There we go. As always, the tricky part, getting this right. So we want it to be neat like that, but we also know that this probably has to go there and press Ctrl N and just make it thicker to give it the overall correct look. That's looking a lot better. I think I might have done it a different way beforehand, and just so that I can move forward with this, I'm actually gonna have to, do I have to apply? I mean, this would be good enough for this example. So you could do it this way, but because I don't normally haven't done it this way last time, I'm just gonna hide this for now. That's a bad test example. Press numpad 1, press Shift A, mesh, use a cube. And go to solid view mode, and I'm just gonna press G, chuck this over here, press S, scale this all the way down, chuck this over here, zoom in, press tab, go into edit mode, press 3 to choose face select, choose this face, numpad 1, G, chuck this over here, then select the other face, G, and then select this face and press I to insert, numpad 1, press E, and I guess what we could do is maybe chuck this over here, scale this in a bit, E, G, R to rotate. Now we have more control over that, which is a little bit better. E, G, R to rotate, G, S, perhaps create a loop cut here, S, choose this, E, G, rotate, S to scale this out, E, S is just because we know that this rim is here, so perhaps we want to bring this all the way here. And then press E, G, rotate, actually let's quickly do one more thing here. Let's press E, S, just do something different, E again, so we make it visibly thicker, which could be quite interesting. Or Control R just to rotate it back into a decent shape, and G. E. E. Rotate. Let's select this. Hold on, I'm missing it. Press 2 for edge select, holding Alt, select that. Numpad 1, and I just want to rotate this to about there. Press S to scale it a little bit more. There we go. Press 3, select this one, numpad 1. Rotate this a little bit. G to move it. Rotate it a little bit more. And press E, R to rotate, G to something like that. Press I, press E, turn off X-ray mode, and let's take a quick look at our pipe. It looks alright. So now all we need to do is go to our modifiers. Let's try a subdivision surface modifier. But perhaps we need to add, before we go crazy, a bevel modifier, and just chuck the bevel one before the subdivision. And just going to crank this up a little bit. Let's make this 0.1 and change the limit to weight. There we go, it's looking a lot better. Profile, geometry, tab object mode, right click shade smooth, tab edit mode, Control R, Control R. So you get that nice flat cut like that, which I'm quite happy about. Let's do the same here quickly. Choose 3, choose his face, press I. And then I guess we have to turn on X-ray mode so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. Numpad 1. Let's press E. That should be more than enough for this example in depth. Turn off X-ray. Press Control R. Pull it all the way back. Control R. You can decide to go all the way or just a bit. Perhaps you want to sharpen up this also. Make that look good. And then just over here, we made this a little bit thicker, but it's less noticeable now. So all we have to do is create another loop cut here. There we go. That is perfect. I'm very happy with the model of this. Looks round, it looks like a pipe, and we could mess with the shape a little bit if we wanted to. Perhaps press Control R over here. Numpad 1. G. Scale this out a bit. What am I doing? Hold on. Let's press Alt to select this. Alt select this, scale this out. Let's rotate this like that. Press G, bring this in over here. It all depends on the shape of pipe you're going for. Numpad 1. This needs to be scaled down just, or if it's going to be scaled up, it just needs to be moved out of the way so that I can move this in place to somewhere like that. There we go. Numpad 1. Just over here. Rotate this. Tab object mode. Okay, cool. Now I'm happy with that. We're done with this pipe. You could spend hours fiddling it and making it perfect. I did make it pretty close to perfect last time. Let me just show you. I was quite happy with that design, but we pretty much did the same thing. Also, if we go up, yeah, we could, if we wanted to, press Tab, go into edit mode. Why am I still doing this? You could press Control R to create a loop cut inside of here. Let's bring this down. So that's even neat inside there. And you can create more loop cuts if needed to make it look even smoother. I think bevel of 3 or 4 is rock solid for the pipe. Tab, object mode, and we are done. Now we need to texture this, finally. Oh my goodness. Right, let's press new. And there are 2 things we need to texture here. So we want to create vertex groups, right? I'm going to call this mouth part. And we're going to call this part here smoke part. I don't really smoke the pipe, so yeah. Press Tab, go into edit mode, and press X-ray turned on. You can press 3 to choose face select. You can hold in Shift, and you want to select pretty much every face to here. And this is the mouth part, so you click Assign. Once you're done with that, you can press Control I for invert selection. Click on the smoke part and click Assign. Cool, so everything is working out perfectly there. And now we want to paint this based on the vertices that you select. So now we can just go out of X-ray mode, go into our material viewport, and let's call this pipe mouth part. So we've got pipe mouth part selected here. Currently it changes everything, which is not what we want. I'm going to press Tab, go into edit mode, and I'm going to deselect the smoke part. And right, let's get into it. So first thing I want to do is press Shift A. Alright, oh, I'm clearly tired. Let's go to the material viewport here and let's create, we've got pipe mouth part, we're going to add another one, new. I'm going to call this pipe smoke part. Right, let's start off with the pipe mouth part because that's a little bit quicker. You could go crazy here, but the main thing is just to choose the correct color, which should be black, and click assign. Go back over here, deselect, and select the mouth part. Hold on, what's going on here? Oh goodness. Okay, let's deselect. I could explain a lot. To select the mouth part. Press Ctrl I. Select this. And click assign. Let me just remove that one. Pipe bowl. Assign. Except it needs to include inside this pipe as well. Okay, it does. Cool. Deselect. Now the mouth part is everything. What the hell is going on? I must clearly have not have slept. But the mouth part is supposed to be we just delete everything. Start over. Create a new one. Call this the pipe stem. Press numpad 7 for top orthographic view. Turn on X-ray and let's select all of this. Go over here. Shift Alt click. That's the entire part of the stem. We're going to click assign. Deselect. Select. Perfect. Next we're going to select this. Add a new one. Call this pipe bowl. Hover over here, press Ctrl I, click assign. Deselect, select, deselect, select. Okay, now it's working perfect. Alright, so now with the pipe stem selected, let's go over here, pipe mouth part, which is the stem. Let's choose the color, which is that, and we click assign. Let's go to our material viewport so we can see how this looks. And then we go back here, deselect, select that part, click on the pipe smoke part. Just to make sure it's working, let's just click assign. Okay, cool, now we're in business. So now we just have to make this pipe look more like something like that. Alright. Right, so we're going to press Shift A, search, type in mix RGB, connect the mix RGB to the color here. And you can select just two colors here of brown, or you can press Shift A, search RGB, chuck this over here, or you can press Shift A, input RGB should be here as well. And you can connect these colors here. And normally it's a darker orange as a brown. Let's go over here. There we go, 2 shades of brown, which is great. And then we want to press Shift A, textures, and we're going to make use of, probably a wave texture. Or Voronoi texture, I don't know. No. I think I'm going to use a wave texture. Shift A, textures, wave, click, connect this into that. And change this to, well, it's not too bad already as is. And let's change send to saw. Change the strength to 4.5. It looks, it's got a nice fade. Let's try 1. That's not enough. Let's jump this up to 8. There we go. It's got a nice bleed to it. 4.5 again, why not? Detail 0.4. And we can just mess with this to decide what shape you like. This is more of a water effect. 6.6. Okay, cool. That's the look I'm going for. It's different. All right. Press tab, go into object mode, take a look. All right, we're not done. We probably need another bump map. Let's type in search, input, BUMP. Connect this into the normal. Give this a strength of 0.1. And we also need to adjust the roughness because it's wood. And we could do it this way, but I don't think I'd be giving this much justice. So I'm going to press Shift, Color, Mix RGB. Connect this into the roughness. Change this to a screen. Let's just bring this down over here. And then we can type in Shift A, search, map, range. Connect that over there. Shift D to duplicate. Connect this over here. Chuck this over here. Shift A, search, type in noise, texture. And you can also type in Shift A, textures, and go to, where is noise? That's the other way to do it. We want to connect the FAC into the value. Let's double the scale over here, so it's different, 10.7, and increase the distortion to 0.5. And now we just have to adjust the map range. Let's make this 0.3, 0.75, 0.02, 0.8. This one we need to fix. This is supposed to go into the value. But for this we'll just change the min to 0.47. And that gives a much more interesting shine. It's a bit over the top, but it is what it is. Other thing we want to quickly do while we add it, might as well change our material quickly to our pipe mouth part. Control Z, pardon me. Click your pipe mouth part over here, zoom out. Let's do a few things here to make this look a little bit better. Number one, I honestly think this should be shining a lot more than the main part of the pipe. But perhaps we can do a better job. Let's go type in Shift A, type in map range, connect this to the roughness. Shift A, noise, texture, and whenever you're dealing with textures, factor to the value. Whenever you're dealing with textures, you can just press Control T, and you get all of this. And we just have to change a few settings here. Let's change this to 3.1, 3.7. Change some of these values. Let's make the minimum 0.3. 0.95, 0.75, and you can tweak with these. You could mess with them to see the difference. Perhaps I'm going to make this 0.9, 0.91, 0.95. That looks good to me. Only other thing we could do is maybe increase the scale of the Y to 4. Let's take a look at that. That is looking good. Very happy with that. All right. Next thing we want to do is make everything visible again. Select this pipe, press tab, go into object mode. Give your PC a few moments to load, especially when you've got a potato PC like this. It just takes a while. I know my hat's unconventional, but I kind of like the shape. It's very funky. Numpad 7, let's rotate this minus 90. Numpad 1. S to scale this down. G, chuck it over here. Numpad 3. G, Y. In fact, I think this would look a lot better if we just move this somewhere over here like this. Numpad 1, and then we just rotate this on the Z axis. Let's try the other way. So you can see the pipe at an angle. All right, I like that. Now a mesh cube, tab, edit mode, vertex select, right click, merge vertices, add center, numpad 1, and press G. Chuck it over here, then press E, and you can create whatever shape you like. And click subdivide, select that point. Subdivide. There we go. So we've got an arm, tab, object mode. And number 1, we can use the mirror modifier. Where is it? There it is. It's on the other side, which is perfect. And we also need to use the skin modifier, smooth, tab, edit mode, and obviously we want to press Control A, let's bring this in. Something like that looks a little bit more reasonable. And obviously we want these pieces here, Control A, to be slightly thicker as it gets gradually thinner. Control A. G. You can also press numpad 7 and just perhaps if you want to make this look a little bit more 3D, you can. Subdivide, select this, G. Control A. I think you get the idea, yeah? Here we go. Obviously we want to add a subdivision surface modifier. Chuck it on 3, it will look crystal smooth. It should make a huge difference if it's before or after. It has to be after the skin modifier. But just like that, we have beautiful branches. Tab, object mode. Turn off X-ray. Yep, they look like branches of a tree. I'll have to create the scarf in another video because unfortunately I don't have the time right now. But we could just, also don't even have the time to properly texture the branches, but I'll just give it a nice brown. And that should be good enough. Other thing I want to do with these modifiers on this is go to remesh. And play around with this a little bit. What happens if I make this 0.05? You know what? I kind of prefer this now that I've done it. So let me just reshape everything and call it a day. If you followed along, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. G, Y, G, Y, G, Z, numpad 3, G, Y, take a look, G, Y, so about there, there we go, get the eyes out as well. GY, GZ, select this hat, get it in place, G, here we go, and then we can just change the background to white. View it how it looks in render view. It's a bit too white. Perhaps I'll just use an environmental texture. You can go to HDRhaven to download a free HDR image, but in this case I'm going to download the moon, an image I got from NASA. If you go to my moon tutorial, I'll show you where to download this map. Let's look at how the scene looks in our camera. Well, let's change our camera position. Let's make our camera position somewhere more interesting. Also, our pipe isn't showing. What is this? Oh, this is our other pipe we played with earlier. Okay, cool. So now just choose an angle that you like and press Control Alt numpad 0. And perhaps I'm going to just choose a different HDR image from HDRhaven so you know where to download it. This old haul, I've used it way too many times, and now you can see the reflections a little bit better, hopefully. It'll take a second to load. And there we go. Perhaps we want a different angle based on that. Ooh. Perhaps we want to press GZ and just lift this up a tad. Tab, edit mode, Control R. Control R, 3, sorry. Press 3, try and select these faces here. Let's go into wireframe mode. And let's create a new color quickly just for this. I don't know, make it blue. Click assign. Press 2. Alt, there we go. GG. To bring it down, let's make it a thin stripe like that. And in this case, let's make it an emission. $20 or 30. Choose an angle where the emission will be noted. Go to the render settings, ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflection, refraction. Control Alt Numpad 0, select your camera, hold on, tab, object mode, select your camera, G, and there you have it. And this is all done in Eevee. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know what you would call this, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.